Hi all, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing good. Today I'm going to discuss about role of sodium in nerve and muscle function. Let's move on to the topic. As you all know that sodium is a mineral that your body must have in order to function properly. It carries an electrical charge, so it's known as electrolyte. Electrolytes facilitates muscle contraction and nerve cell transmission. Ions of sodium, potassium and chloride triggers muscle contraction and nerve impulses. If you look at this picture, you may not understand anything. So let's talk about the theory first. Later on, it will be helpful for you to understand this easily. Let's talk about nerve signals. What is the characteristics of a cell in resting potential? So at rest, a nerve cell has positively charged potassium ions inside the cell and positively charged sodium ions and negatively charged chloride ions outside the cell. Since the potassium ions leaves more easily, there is a slight elevation of positive charge on the outside of the cell. Inside the cell are also negatively charged proteins and nucleic acid molecules that are too large to cross the cell membrane. As a result, the outside of the cell is positively charged relative to the inside of the cell. This membrane potential, also called a resting potential in nerve cell, is a characteristic of cells in general. We should know some terms before moving on to the next slide. First one is resting potential. This we have discussed in the last slide. That is the electrical potential of the cell to its surroundings at rest. So we have seen inside the cell we have positively charged potassium ions and outside the cell we have positively charged sodium ions. And the outside of the cell is positively charged related to the inside of the cell. The second one is depolarization. Depolarization is a change within the cells during which the cell undergoes a shift in electrical charge. Next one is repolarization. That is restoration of the difference in charge between the inside and outside of the cell membrane after depolarization. Let's see what will happen during the action potential. When the nerve cell is stimulated, the sodium channels in the cell membrane open and sodium ions rush into the cell, depolarizing the cell membrane. The charge also reverses. Inside the cell becomes more positive relative to the outside. After about half a millisecond, the sodium channel close again and potassium channels open, which allows the positive potassium ions to move to the outside of the cell. The cell is quickly repolarized. Thus, the sodium-potassium pump works to restore the proper concentration of the ions inside and outside the cell. Let's talk about the nerve impulse. So what will happen once the sodium ions from outside the cell enters inside the cell, which spread to the adjacent negative area and change it to positive. As a result, the action potential, that is depolarization of the membrane, continues to propagate itself along the membrane. This electrical signal is the nerve impulse. Let's see how it stimulates the muscle fiber. When the nerve terminates at the muscle fiber, the nerve impulse cause the end of the nerve to release a chemical transmitter, acetylcholine. Acetylcholine travels across the very short distance of the neuromuscular junction. When acetylcholine reaches the muscle, it depolarizes the muscle cell membrane and initiates an action potential that causes the muscle fibers to contract. Acetylcholine is broken down by enzymes and the resting potential of the membrane is restored. Now I hope you got a clear idea about resting potential, action potential, depolarization, and repolarization. Now look at this picture. In resting potential, that is, when the cell is at rest, you have positively charged potassium ions inside the cell and positively charged sodium ions outside the cell. The outside of the cell is more positively charged relative to the inside of the cell. In action potential, first, the sodium channels open, which allows the sodium ions from outside the cell to rush inside the cell, which causes depolarization. After about half a millisecond, the sodium channel close and the potassium channels open, which allows the potassium ions from inside the cell to move outside, which causes repolarization. Next, back to resting potential. So, the sodium potassium pump works to restore the proper concentration of the ions inside and outside the cell. Thank you so much for watching this video. See how important the sodium is in the proper functioning of nerves and muscles. I hope this would be helpful for you guys. If you feel the same, kindly like, share this to our friends and subscribe my channel. My channel name is Jebin Shine. Don't forget to press the bell icon button so that you will get the notifications whenever I am uploading new videos. Thank you all once again. See you all again with one more interesting topic. Until then, it's bye from Jebin. Bye bye. Take care.